On the 15th of July, EA announced a new Star Wars Squadrons game. And in this episode, I'm going to run through the original 3 Rogue Squadron games produced by LucasArts, which span across 2 different Nintendo consoles. I'm going to talk about these 3 games and give my opinions on the new Star Wars Squadrons game. Star Wars Rogue Squadron is the first game in the series and set the standard for the fast-paced flight action games. Released on the N64 6 months before Star Wars made its anticipated return to the cinemas with Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, Rogue Squadron takes place between Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope and Star Wars Episode 5 Empire Strikes Back, roughly 6 months after the destruction of the first Death Star. Although the final chapter is set 6 years after Return of the Jedi. Even though this game's campaign doesn't include the iconic trench run and the Battle of Hoth, these levels can be unlocked after finishing the game and getting bronze medals and silver medals respectively. Rogue Squadron was heavily inspired by a single level from Shadows of an Empire, which was previously released on the N64. In that level, the player assumes the role of Dash Rendar and uses a snowspeeder to take down AT-ATs, just like the iconic scene in Empire Strikes Back. Rogue Squadron was one of the first games on the N64 to use the memory expansion pack, increasing the resolution to 640 by 480. High definition indeed. When this game was released, it was praised all round. IGN give it a rating of 8.8 and to this day it still holds a user score of 8.5 on Metacritic. Shadows of an Empire was one of the first games I owned on the Nintendo 64. And to this day, I still consider it one of the best games on the N64. That Battle of Hoth blew me away the first time I played it. Being able to recreate the scenes of wrapping up an AT-AT's legs and it tipping over and exploding was really cool. So I can totally understand why the developers took this idea and ran with it. The only game that was close to Rogue Squadrons before it was released, to me, was Starwing on the SNES. So when I finally got my hands on Rogue Squadrons and I got to pilot a real X-Wing with authentic sounds and I got to open and close those wings and shoot down TIE fighters in space, it blew me away. This game I don't consider to be my favourite and I don't consider it the best in the series, but it's the one that I spent the most time with and it's the one that I still go back to the most. Rogue Leader is the second instalment in the series and it was released between Star Wars Episodes 1 and Episodes 2 as a GameCube exclusive. Expanding on the original game, but with improved graphics and new features, one of these new features is the Tactics menu, where you can issue instructions to your teammates using the D-pad. Rogue Leader is set across the 3 movies from the original trilogy. The campaign has 10 missions, which allows the player to assume the role of Rebel Scum, Luke Skywalker and Wedge Antilles. Some of the scenarios in the campaign are created just for this game, but it also includes some of the big movie moments, such as the original attack on the Death Star, the Battle of Hoth, the Battle of Endor, and the bombing run on the second Death Star. This game also includes some awesome unlockables. One of those is a level where you get to play as Darth Vader himself and get to play as the Empire for the first time in the series. It also includes some ships that you can unlock, such as the Millennium Falcon and the Slave One, 2 of the most badass ships in the galaxy. When I first heard about Rogue Leader, I was on that Star Wars hype train. I'd just been to the cinemas to see Episode 1 and there was Star Wars merchandise everywhere. You couldn't move for it. You'd go to the shop and you'd see Anakin Skywalker's face on the front of a Pepsi. There was Jar Jar Binks lollies and there was toys galore. Rogue Leader was a launch title for the GameCube in Europe and it was released on May the 3rd. Yeah, that's right, May the 3rd. They couldn't wait that one extra day and make it extra special for us Star Wars nerds. But May the 4th was extra special because I got to play a brand new Star Wars game on a brand new Nintendo console. It's one of those days that I'll never forget. Rogue Leader was released to critical acclaim. IGN give it a 9.1, stating it was fast, fantastic, and eerily reminiscent of the trilogy of movies. The game currently holds a user score of 8.5 on Metacritic. Rogue Leader is my favourite entry in the series. It doesn't add any unnecessary gimmicks. It takes what the first game did and improves upon it. It adds improved graphics, the mere fact that you can unlock the Slave One and finally get to play as Boba Fett in a game blows it out of the water for me. The only way that this could have been any better is if you could have unlocked Bosk and finally got to pilot the Hound's Tooth. But I digress. Rogue Leader is the best game in the series and is near enough perfect. Rebel Strike is the final entry in the series and was released in North America in October 2003 and the rest of the world in November 2003. It was released between episodes 2 and 3. The mission list in Rebel Strike is very similar to Rogue Leader. It hits most of the movie's iconic scenes, but it does differ slightly. In the campaign, it offers a left and a right side. The left side you play as Luke Skywalker, and the right side you play as Wedge Antilles. At any point when you progress through the stories, you can keep switching sides to switch the character and switch the mission. Rebel Strike is the oddball of the series. It introduces on-foot missions. That is exactly what it sounds like. So you'll get to a section in the game where you'll leave your starship or land vehicle and be on foot. While you're on foot, the game switches to a third-person mode, similar to that of Fortnite or at the time Siphon Filter. These sections of the game are incredibly clunky and awkward. It's very hard to aim your weapon and shoot directly at an enemy unless you're locked on. This is a problem when there's groups of enemy around you and you can't quickly switch between each one of them. There's whole sections of the game like this, and also some sections where you have to platform. The camera angle in these modes is ridiculously awkward. One of the strangest things that this game did, well, I say strange, it's actually quite awesome, is it included a cooperative mode, but that co-op mode was the levels from Rogue Leader. The levels have been altered slightly to align more with Rebel Strike, but including this in the game was really cool at the time because you get to go back to Rogue Leader, but this time you could play it with a friend. Rebel Strike was released to mixed reviews. Some reviews couldn't see past the on-foot mission and the awkwardness of them and the clunkiness, but some reviewers seen past that and seen some of the improvements made to the space battles. Now you could have more enemies on screen and it was more intense. Upon release, IGN give it an 8.3. And currently on Metacritic it holds a 7.5 user score. Personally, my feelings on the game aren't that great, to be honest. I haven't spent nowhere near as much time with this game as I have with Rogue Leader. The one positive from this game is the co-op mode, because with that mode it meant that I could replay like sections of Rogue Leader with a friend, which was really cool. But I personally couldn't get past the on-foot missions. They were just so bad. When I played this game the first time, the on-foot missions really spoiled it for me because they were quite hard to play through, and that's one of the reasons why I don't go back to this game to play it for the Rebel Strike bits. I think if they did release a fourth entry in the series though, that they would have tidied up these sections of the game just like they did with the space battles from the first game to the second game. The problem with Rebel Strike is I don't play these games for on-foot missions, because quite frankly there's other Star Wars games that do this a lot better. But the one positive factor and the one reason why I probably would go back to this game is purely for the co-op sections. Being able to play Rogue Leader with a pal is awesome. On the 15th of July 2020, EA surprised us all by dropping a reveal trailer for a game simply known as Star Wars Squadrons. This was a huge surprise to me because I never thought that EA would release a Star Wars game focusing on space battles alone. I thought that they would take that gameplay element and wrap it up in a game like Battlefront. So to me, seeing this reveal trailer was epic. 4 days after the reveal trailer, EA dropped a 5-minute video showcasing some of the gameplay and the plot from Star Wars Squadrons. The gameplay trailer revealed that the game is set between Episode 6 and Episode 7, roughly after the Battle of Endor. It also revealed details of the campaign, showing that the player will assume the role of 2 separate pilots. Both these pilots will be customizable. The first pilot is a member of the Rebels, and for the first time ever, the player will get to play as the Empire. The gameplay trailer also described in depth the multiplayer aspect of the game, showing that it supports up to 10 players with 2 teams of 5. The trailer also went into great detail and made sure that we understood that everything in the multiplayer section can be unlocked by simply playing the game. I mean, we've heard this from EA before, So who knows if they're telling the truth? Fingers crossed. I for one can't wait for October 2nd when Star Wars Squadrons will be released. If you like this video, don't be a scruffy looking nerf herder. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And may the Force be with you.